Yes. So you did have this injury with your foot and you were trying to explain it in, Alexia mentioned, it was an accident and you said, yes, I know, but accidents have consequences, as you know, with Frankie. And we see what has happened next. So, like, what was going through your mind at that time when this statement came out?
Well, I was very saddened by the whole twist of that. I first of all, I first and foremost, I understand that was a bad analogy, right? I shouldn't have said it, I shouldn't have done it, and I regret it. And I'll take those words back if I could, because my intention was the opposite. So if you look at the scene carefully, we started the scene with me thanking her, being grateful that we had such a nice moment in the boat when we were going there, and everybody for a minute forgot to fight, and everybody's dancing, singing, and it felt like a healing moment for the entire group. And whatever beef we had, we put it aside for a minute, for 2 minutes 30 seconds of the song. So it felt so good. And even though I'm there with my foot's throbbing and it's hot and I'm still trying to be part of the group. And so it felt like, wow, it's when you put in a lot of work and you have something out that makes people happy, then I felt happy and grateful. So I was thanking her. Like, my state of mind was, wow, thank you for liking the song. It means a lot to me, because I put a lot of work into it. and and then she immediately twisted it. Instead of accepting my token of appreciation and gratitude, she immediately turned into a negative, right? She was like, well, that's not the issue we have, it's not your song. So my mind now, I see she was planning on twisting it. She was planning on twisting it all along. She was just waiting for the moment. And I felt like when I made that bad analogy, I just gave it to her on a silver platter, and then she just ran with it.
Do you think if you didn't say this, there would have been something else, like in this scene, so to speak, that
If I hadn't said that, it would have been something else. She was just waiting for the moment.
after you said it, like, we say things and then they're out there, like, what was your reaction, like, once this came out?
I was just very sad, and very, like, just very sad by the whole thing. Because again, I thought, that I could patch things up, I could make things better, come on, we've been friends forever. I've never, in 13 years of friendship, even recently, when her son Peter got, criticized by getting in trouble and this and that, her own, then husband, fiance, called her out on her parenting. I never criticized her, never once uttered one word of judgment or disrespect. So to me, it makes no sense that, knowing that she would twist it around and say, "Oh, how dare you?" Because she knows deep down, I never judge her for it. I would never say such thing, because we weren't fighting. To me, in my mind, it was a moment of gratitude. It wasn't fighting, you know.
I mean, you could understand why she's upset though, right?
Of course, I can understand why she's upset, because again, it was a bad analogy, right? But I apologized profusely at the time, like you're going to see in the next episode. And I apologized after that as well. And I feel like I stuck my foot in my mouth and I regret it. And I wish she would, what I was trying to reach with that bad analogy was empathy from her, especially because she has gone through such thing, and I have gone through a lot of things too, that I was thinking nobody else should be more empathetic towards anyone than her, because she went through so much. But instead, she just took it wrong, and I felt bad, because my intention was never to hurt her. My intention is never to talk about Frankie, because I have nothing but love and sympathy for him. He's a beautiful being, and doesn't make sense, that she took it that way. But yeah, I regret saying it. Yeah.
Oh, how, like, what was going on in the scene? Like, because we all know how editing is. Like, when was your apology? Like, was that scene like hours? You know what I mean? Like, because we don't see that. I know how it's edited together. Like, when did you apologize? And like, how long was this interaction between the two of you?
Yeah, we were there for hours. I tried apologizing just, a few minutes after that happened, but she walked away and we have nothing to do with it, and then so, I tried to apologize a couple of times and she wouldn't let go of it and the bone pretty much. And then it makes me feel like I said, it was an intention there to create contention, and that was used because you needed to, now I gave to her something. It was almost like a whole game. I'm gonna get you, like catch you game. That whole weekend started with when we gave the stones, as a token of friendship, and got twisted into, oh, Brazilians do witchcraft. And another sweeping generalization. She had called Julia, a good hooker because she was Russian. And now she was saying, I'm a witch because Brazilians do witchcraft. So it's so much generalization, and it was like a game for her, like, I'm gonna get you. And when I unfortunately used that bad analogy, it just gave her the munition she needed to attack me.
You think Alexia and or Marysol were like looking for something that weekend?
Yep, they were looking for something.
But you regret what you said, obviously.
1,000%, I regret saying that because that was not the intention. I would never, judge her or talk about Frankie, for whom I only have love and sympathy. It was never the intent.
So you apologize, we saw on camera. And I mean, as we now head into the reunion, I imagine that this came up at the reunion. I imagine you apologize again. I'm just assuming.
I've apologized many, many times, on camera, off camera. And she keeps kicking me down. I'm pretty much begging on my knees, apologizing, and she keeps kicking me down, kicking when I'm already down, and acting as if she never said anything offensive to anyone, without meaning it. And I felt like, well, if you're perfect, you throw the first stone. And made me think of when she was shaming a trans woman at a pride event in which she was going to be, honored as a gay marshal. And before she goes up on stage, she's sitting downstairs, telling her then fiance, oh, that's a man, that's a man. So she should understand, because sometimes we say things that we don't mean, right? And they might sound pretty offensive, but you don't mean it. You just say it sometimes without thinking.
When was this Pride event?
It was last season 4, and it
The
was on
one,
camera.
the one
Yeah.
we saw. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And she said that's a man, but it's not. I mean, when you're trans, you're not a man if you're a woman.
But how insensitive is it, right? How would that, if we were to ask this woman, how would she feel by this comment, right? Somebody who has gone an entire life of transformation and surgeries and shame and like to overcome, this body that she comes into this world and to become her real self, everything that she went through, and someone just easily dismisses it and say, oh, that's a man. I mean, how offensive is that? And insensitive. So I'm sure if we were to get the words from this woman, it wouldn't be very kind.